Now be honest, do you actually know how to use your plugins? And I don't mean just pulling up a preset in them, I mean do you actually know what each one of the controls does? Because I don't. Wally, a subscriber to the Splitmind channel, hit me up and was like, you should do a video breaking down processing plugins like Sketch Cassette and RC20. It would be hella useful to learn what each knob is really doing to the sound. So yeah, that's what we're doing in this video. First I'm going to go through the entire plugin telling you what each control does, and then I'm going to show you a few examples of how I use the plugin in my samples. If this video gets 300 likes, next week I'll do a video breaking down the holy grail of all processing plugins, Portal. So if you want to learn how to really use Portal in your samples, make sure you give this video 300 likes and you'll get that video next week. So I'm just going to put this on a random mixer channel and throw on Sketch Cassette. So you're going to hear the loop get affected by Sketch Cassette as I go through it. Alright, so this is Sketch Cassette 2. First I'm going to start with the tape type. Type 1 is ferric tape. You're going to have more of a low end response with this. Some of the higher frequencies are going to be rolled off. Type 2 is chrome tape. This is more tailored towards the high end of your sample. There could even be a high end boost with this. And then type 4 is metal. You're going to get more of a flat frequency response with this. With the bypass option, you're just bypassing this tape type completely. So for each one of these tape types, you also get to choose between cheap, value, standard, and master quality. So in total, you have 12 tape algorithms to choose from here. So I'm just going to cycle through some of these options so you can hear what they're doing. This sample, I want a brighter sound, so I'm going to go with the type 2, and then I'll just go for master. The next control you're going to want to use is the age control, and basically this just adds a low pass filter, so it's cutting out the highs, and this works really well with dropouts if you want to give it that lo-fi cassette feel, but we'll get to the dropouts later. I'm going to put the age around there for this sample. So the next knob is hiss, and this is just that noise that you get with tape. I usually never use the hiss in this plugin, just because I feel like it can be too much, and if you're adding Sketch Cassette to multiple instruments, if you're using hiss, the hiss is going to add up, and then it's going to be super loud by the end of the sample. So when I'm going for a tape hiss, usually I'll just use like a one-shot noise sample and just drag it in the sample so that way it's only playing one time. Next we have saturation. Saturation is just saturation. It's kind of like distortion. It's just basically adding harmonics to your sound. And I'm just going to turn it up really high here, and then you can see this button next to it, this A-B button. It's different types of distortion. This first type we just heard. I'm going to flip back and forth between A and B and see what they sound like. B sounds like it's saturating the high frequencies more, but A sounds like it's saturating the lower frequencies more. Obviously you don't want to use it that drastically, but I just kind of add a little bit to my mix. Alright, next we have dropouts. So dropouts are what it sounds like. The audio drops out. With old, damaged, worn out tape, you'll get dropouts, which is just the loss in signal. It just drops the amplitude or the loudness of the sample at random points. The depth increases the amount of signal that's being lost, and the intensity controls how frequent and how long the dropouts are. And then the width is the stereo separation between the dropouts. So when the audio is dropping out, how separated are the left and right channels in that dropout? And so I'll demonstrate that right now. If you want the left and right channel dropping out together, just bring this width knob all the way to the left in mono mode. You never really want your dropouts that heavy, so I'm going to tone this back. Alright, wow and flutter. These are the two controls that are really going to give your sound that cassette feel. Basically, it's modulating the pitch of the sample because old cassette players never played back cassettes in real time. So wow is a lower frequency pitch modulation, and flutter is a higher frequency pitch modulation. And I'll explain what I mean. You're going to hear the pitch of the sample going like wow, 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 wow. If that makes sense, that was stupid, but you'll hear what I mean. Here are the whole samples kind of going like wow, wow, versus flutter, which sounds like this. For the wow, we can have this go from 0.2 hertz all the way up to 5 hertz. And then for the flutter, it goes from 5 hertz all the way up to 12 hertz. Frequency is measured in hertz. Flutter is higher frequency pitch modulation. Wow is lower frequency pitch modulation. These settings down here let you choose the actual curve that the modulation is following. So right now with this wow, it's just following a sine wave, but we can change it to these other modulations for a different tone. You can can do the same on the flutter side as well. But keep in mind, just with all of the other controls in this plugin, you want to keep it really subtle. This button right here syncs the rate of the wow and flutter to your DAW's tempo, the BPM up here. So if you were going for a time-based wow or flutter, that's how you would do it. And then you can adjust the speed with the rate. All right, so this button right here actually makes the plugin go crazy. So right now we have it in wow and flutter mode. That's what it stands for, W plus F. But if you click it, now you can see the FM. I believe that stands for flutter modulation, but I don't really know because it says mod going to flutter. But basically what it does is instead of giving you this wow, so this lower frequency pitch modulation, it lets you modulate the rate of the flutter with this LFO, if that makes sense. So let me show you what I mean. Listen to how fast this flutter is moving when we start messing around with these two knobs in FM mode. So you can use the rate of this first LFO to change the speed or the rate of the second one over time. Shit's crazy. You can get some really cool effects out of it, but I don't typically use that too much. I kind of just like the regular wow and flutter, just for an old tape cassette kind of feel. This offset lets you actually change the starting point of these waveforms down here. So if I wanted to change where this flutter sine wave starts, you just adjust it, and then now technically it's starting like in the middle of this waveform, if that makes sense. And the same goes for the wow as well. This just kind of makes it even more imperfect, or it helps you get a more accurate sound when you're going for tempo sync. This flanging knob mixes in the wow and flutter pitch bend signal with the original, so you get some like weird phasing and flanging going on. This is what it sounds like. And then finally we have this NR comp, which stands for noise reduction compressor. Now I never use this for noise compression. Basically I use it to brighten up my sound, and I think it's what that's there for anyway. So if we flip this on, let's listen to it. You can hear the high end got boosted, but it also got compressed. So I'm gonna change these amounts just to dial in the tone. And then finally we have this mix section over here. This tape mix knob lets you change the mix of the original frequency response of these tape types. So if you don't like what these tape types are doing to your sound, you can just bring it down a little bit. And this compression mix brings down this NR comp mix. Now I'm gonna show you how I use Sketch Cassette on two different instruments in this sample. One of the instruments that I used Sketch Cassette on was the pluck in the sample, and this is the preset that I used on it. First I'm gonna play it before Sketch Cassette. And then this is after Sketch Cassette. So yeah, you can hear just already a more cohesive and brighter sound. I used the Type 2 tape type with the standard quality. For the age, I just brought it down a little bit, like 7%. Hiss, I kept it off. Saturation, I brought up just a tiny amount, not a lot at all, with the B button clicked in. These are my wow and flutter settings, just a little bit of wow and flutter with some slow modulations, nothing going fast, regular sine waves. Tempo sync is off, it's on wow and flutter mode instead of flutter modulation. I don't have any flanging on this one. The offset is normal. I also didn't put in any dropouts in this one. The NR comp is on. I have it sitting right there for bright, but I brought the amount down quite a bit. I brought the tape mix down to 93% and then 65% on the comp mix. Next, I use Sketch Cassette on the pianos. I put them on the same mixer track and then use this. This is what it sounds like before Sketch Cassette. And then this is after Sketch Cassette. You can just kind of hear the low end moving around a little bit, just kind of going. Gee, I wonder if that's why they call it wow. So you can see I have type 4, which is the metal tape with the flatter response, because I had some high frequencies with the high piano part, but also some low frequencies with the low piano, so I wanted to make sure that both of them would be good. I put it on the value setting just to give it a little bit more texture. The age I brought down quite a bit at around like 43%. No hiss. Saturation is right around here on the A setting. I wanted to give it a little bit more pitch modulation with the wow and flutter this time, so I just brought the depth up some. still on the 2 sine wave presets, WoW and Flutter mode, no offset, no tempo sync, no flanging. I didn't use the NR comp on this, but I did bring the tape mix down to like 96. I used dropouts on this one as well. The depth is like right there, intensity is right there, and then I brought the stereo width up just a little bit too, so that way it wasn't completely mono. So yeah, that's how you use the plugin Sketch Cassette in your samples. I use it in like every single sample that I make, so it's definitely good to know what each of the controls do. Like I said earlier, if this video gets 300 likes, I'm dropping the same kind of video but on Output Portal, which is gonna be crazy. I know you're looking for that, so make sure you drop a like, get this video to 300 ASAP. Make sure y'all go follow me on Instagram at NoahCuz. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all for watching. I'm out. Peace.
Noah, why you do that shit?